You're listening to littlepodcast.com.
I much preferred Kevin Eubanks and Jay Leno.
Ron Perlman playing an ape man, as always.
Stop trying to convince me like sex with like younger people is normal. 320-pound hunk of man meat.
Oh, woman president. Oh, it's that time of the month. Say goodbye to North Korea. Forecast says Reich incoming. Welcome to Saturday Night Bite, episode number 5. I'm your host, John Rowe, joined by my co-host,
Lance Kilcoyne.
That's correct. Lance.
What's happening, John?
Lance Pants, as you were known in high school.
Yep.
By me. I was the only one that called you that. And you said it made you uncomfortable, if I remember correctly. So I stopped.
People asked me if I had ants in my pants. That would happen.
Was that like a childhood insult that you got? Like I was going to say the graveyard. The childhood graveyard.
Interestingly enough, where people said that was near a graveyard. It was over the hill. You could see it. Not even.
Well, you could see a graveyard from my house when we lived in high school. There's that graveyard right back there, where my grandparents are buried.
You know, it's weird. For as long as I I grew up in that town. Yeah. I never went to like a funeral in the town. Like we never buried anyone in any of those those cemeteries. You
guys were too good for it. You had your private cemeteries.
Where my grandma, where we buried her, I never even heard of the town. Yeah, like Truman or something.
Okay,
I'm like, where
is that? Where her parents were buried? Maybe and
she like grew up in some middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
not far from where Darlington is, but not exactly. I never heard of it.
Yeah.
Probably unincorporated.
Not to get super morose now on you, but what do you think about that? Like, do you think you're gonna end up with a burial plot somewhere?
No.
Like, I don't think so either.
I don't see the point.
I don't either. Like, I think I would probably just donate my body to science.
I don't want to do that either.
I would. Then they just take it away, and you know what? Not to get like even more morose about this situation, but I'm gonna get fucking real here. Someone who I know online from like video games and stuff, his wife died like a week ago of cancer. It'd been a long time. Like she'd been sick for a while. It was in hospice. Horribly sad. My heart goes out to him and his family. But one thing he mentioned was that she had donated her body to science, and like so the body's just gone.
Yeah.
Like, they just have a wake with, like, a big picture, and everyone comes around. There's no burying. You don't have to pay for any of that. Like, literally, it's just...
Well, yeah, that's why
you're gone.
I wouldn't do any of that.
Yeah?
It's a scam.
What's a scam?
The whole business of death.
Yeah, I thought you meant, like, the science part. I was like, well, no, they just take it. Like,
if anything, science, they'd say sometimes pay you...
Yeah.
It depends on what the supply and demand is at the moment.
We need more bodies. No, I know what you mean, though.
It's like with blood, the same thing. You know, sometimes with blood they pay, though in the U.S. they pretty much don't pay.
Yeah,
unless it's plasma. But who wants to get plasma? Nobody.
You sit around in a low rent area. I think that has there ever been a plasma place in like a really fancy area?
No.
Plasma places always seem to be right next to a check cashing place. It's like one next to another, you know. Like, all right, I got my check for my plasma. I need it cashed.
Or a liquor store.
Yep.
Because the one I'm thinking of in town is next to a couple liquor stores.
You got to take the plasma out, put the booze in. That's how it goes. Yeah, man. Anyway.
But I don't think it's necessary to... I've never, gone... Well, I've gone back with my parents to other plots.
Yeah.
But I've never, returned to a plot of a loved one.
Yeah.
I just kind of think that... I mean, I'm not ruling it out. If they have one, maybe I will. But for me, I don't really see the point.
Yeah. I've gone to grandparents.
My mom...
Because I was with...
She'll probably be buried, so...
Yeah.
I probably would visit... You know, if my grandma's wasn't in a place where I don't know where it is, you know.
She hid it from me. She honestly didn't want me coming by.
Maybe someday she wants to go, I'll go. But
yeah. Yeah, I would go. I'm just not gonna like go out of my way, you know? Like,
Yeah.
they're gone. Like, the only thing that like that is going to do is make me feel better for being like, oh yeah, I remember how cool that person was, and like how.
Then again, though, there is kind of like, I knew somebody who passed who didn't have like anything, and it was just like gone.
It's true, because
so
then
there's
like
the other
nothing.
side.
Yeah. You know, like it's like, hey, whatever happened to him? I don't know. There's literally, like, at least if you're buried in the ground with the burial plot,
There's an acceptance.
There's a place.
Well, there's also like a phase has occurred,
mm-hmm.
like an acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
What everyone got together.
Yeah.
This thing wasn't like only the closer relatives got together, and the other ones not so much. So then, for some of the other ones, it's kind of like, huh.
Yeah.
I guess that's over.
Or you could get,
it's just...
you could do the cremation and then get made into
I would kind of have my ashes spread around the inside of a garbage can. Does not matter to me where they go.
They're like, you need to get a vessel figured out for the cremation. So we need, what do you want? And like, here. And it's just a fucking garbage bag. It's like, use this. Because I don't give a shit.
It's unimportant to me.
Yeah.
What happens.
I mean,
to
I can
my
see
ashes.
I can see some interesting. I mean, that's not too bad with the cremation, because then you don't have to worry about the plot. You're literally just, all right, just go like, I don't know, pour these in a lake somewhere. Like, all right, just spread them out. Like, you know what I mean? I don't give a shit.
Put them in a campfire.
Yeah, I don't care.
Shit.
I just don't want like to have someone have to pay like thousands and thousands of dollars to have my body prepared. And
urns are weird.
Yeah, don't want an urn, because then
it's just
like,
another form
like corpse
of
dust.
Yeah, it's another form of being encased in something after you've expired.
It's a form of sitcom comedy. Like,
that's true.
Situations. There's always something with an urn, you know, and like gets knocked over, or what was that? Meet the Fockers or whatever. That puts it in the cat litter box because they thought it was cat litter or something.
The best joke about that was when Ben Stiller tells De Niro he feels really horrible about what happened.
Yeah, and
De Niro just deadpans. He goes, "Well, it was a really horrible thing."
I mean, that pretty much sums it up. It was a terrible thing that just happened. Man.
Not helping him 1 inch,
no,
though.
Of course not. Snap. So, yeah. So now that we've gotten the talk of death out of the way.
Sorry.
No, keep going. Yeah, go.
There's a joke in the second movie I never understood.
Okay, let me see if I can figure it out.
That was like a running gag.
Okay.
Where he is driving the camper mobile thing, Stiller, and De Niro says, not 1 mile above 55 or something, right?
Okay, yep.
So,
but I can't drive 55.
Starts getting traffic behind him.
Okay.
Too much.
Yeah.
So he goes up to 60.
Uh-huh.
And immediately De Niro shows up again and says, I told you not above 55. And so she's like, okay. And then it just cuts to a lot of traffic behind their vehicle. And then that's it.
Oh. Well, like, he was like, old people drive slow. That's
but where's
the
punchline to this?
I'm
like, so it was just an uncomfortable drive because you backed up traffic in your gigantic vehicle?
Yeah.
But which, by the way, following a vehicle like that going 55 would be murder.
Oh, yeah. I want to kill them every time.
Because they can't see anything behind them, and they just... But that, I don't know. That was the second movie was just where all the jokes were misfires. Like, the first movie is great, and the second movie...
Meet the Parents is there, right?
Meet the Parents is great.
Yeah, because that's fun. Like, it's De Niro's fun. De Niro's can be a funny actor. Like, he's good at comedy.
King of comedy?
Yeah, he can do it. Like, he's not just...
King of Comedy is one of the best comedy movies ever.
Yeah, that is awesome. If you haven't ever seen King of Comedy,
and you gotta imagine at that time he hadn't really done a funny movie, really.
Yeah, or maybe like little stuff.
Barely.
Never like a big, full.
He's known for dramatic roles,
and then Travis
he does
Bickle,
something so. He plays a schlocky comedian, and it's so great.
Yeah, he does a great job, and He's a talented actor.
Not surprised. He's funnier than Jerry Lewis in that. Jerry Lewis is the comedian.
Yeah, Jerry Lewis is
He's the dramatic
famous
actor.
comedian.
He's really mean in that movie.
Yes. Well, that's the idea, yeah.
I don't think that movie did Jerry Lewis's career very good. Because
I don't know.
I don't think
Jerry Lewis is
he always struck me as a bitter, angry guy. And then that movie, I think, captured it. And I just became afraid of him.
You know what didn't do...
At least the old version of him.
You know what really didn't do him any favors?
What?
Jerry Lewis. The Holocaust clown
disease.
movie.
Oh. What's that?
The clown Holocaust movie.
He made a movie like that?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
When did that come out?
The day the laughter died or whatever.
No, I don't know about that.
No, you know about this, right? This is the famous Jerry Lewis Holocaust movie where he plays a clown that goes into
a death camp?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was, I believe, filmed and never released.
Are you kidding me?
There's rumors.
Is this a French? When he was in France?
Yeah, I don't know, but this is a Hollywood rumor thing that there are certain people that have copies of this film that have seen it and said it's the worst thing you could ever imagine seeing.
It was so thoroughly going to kill his career that they
it just
put
didn't get put out because they're you can't. This is not.
It'd be one thing if it was actually had any merit.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But it just sucks.
And I wonder if it has. It's probably based on Life is Beautiful. Have you seen the movie Life is Beautiful, the Roberto Benigni Holocaust movie?
No.
So that is he is a.
I don't think I can watch any more Holocaust movies.
Well, this isn't really. It is a Holocaust movie, but that's only part of it. It's much more than that. It's kind of a period 1930s Italy thing, and he has his wife and a kid, and it's kind of a romance movie at the start. But then the second half is him and his kid have to go to a Nazi work camp, and he basically tells the kid that they're on they're at summer camp and is trying to hide the reality from the kid, and keeps telling him if we get enough points they'll let us out and stuff, and it's he was he's really a physical comedian in the first part, doing all this stuff. In the second half he's trying to make light of this horrible situation, and it's really well done in the actual movie because it's really sad what's happening, but he's just trying to keep this kid's from being ruined basically by it, and and the kid would be taken off and killed anyway because it couldn't work, and so he's hiding him. It's really well done though.
Or he's trying to preserve his childhood.
Correct, and I think that it's based on a true story, I guess. And I wonder if the Jerry Lewis is kind of similar because the guy, I guess, was a comedian who had a kid that went.
While we're talking about Holocaust
okay, thank you.
Narratives.
Lance. No, it's good.
I just have one more.
It's not. It wasn't real.
Not a serious clearly, one. I just thought this was
the Holocaust never happened, so we don't need to worry about this.
Oh God, Mel Gibson's dad over here.
He lived through it. What are you doing, Mel Gibson's dad? All right, I guess in Australia they don't.
Why is it that we know things that Mel Gibson's dad said? That's a strange...
Well, when you say something like that publicly, it gets around.
But he was never... It wasn't like him and Mel did an interview and he spouted off.
He's I'm here with my dad. Holocaust never happened. You're whoa!
It's
Dad,
Mel goes off into the world and is doing his thing and becoming a big star. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, back home on the Outback, his dad... just rambling mess, and I guess the local papers picked it up, and then probably I'm gonna assume local media picked it up because he's probably screaming
famous
nonsense.
Son,
hey, we'll do a story about we got his dad over here. Let's interview him, and then he spouts off about this, and then the Hollywood rags.
We got a story. Yeah, definitely.
There's that great part where the interviewer looks over at the guy recording it. And the guy recording it is gives him that questionable look, should we stop the tape? And the interviewer's no. He's shaking his head.
If you're gonna say
smells blood in the water,
we're gonna get it on tape.
I'm gonna write my ticket to Sydney with this.
Oh, Jesus.
That accent was a bad thing.
Good. Australian's kind of hard because it's basically like a Western English. You know, like you know how like you got Texas accent for Americans, like the Texas accent for English.
You know what I like about Australians? They don't put on airs.
No, they're a real rowdy bunch down there.
They try to do the opposite, if anything.
Yeah. They're not. Yeah,
it's try to show who's tougher.
One of the more interesting things I've heard, and I don't want to indict everyone from Australia about this, but like you'll like, you know, like how they have the Aborigines, you know, that live down there and stuff, and then you'll hear like people talk about that, you know, who are from Australia, and they'll be like, yeah, fucking Aborigines suck. And you're like, whoa. Like, could you imagine, like, someone said it about, like, the Native Americans? They're awful. I guess they just have a huge problem with, I think, crime and, like, just, like,
I believe
segregation and just
that
bad stuff.
Portion of the population is way more substantial down there than Native Americans.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why, I'm sure.
They're not, it's part of it. Living in the same culture as the people who live there. Yeah, in the cities, right?
Mm-hmm. I honestly
don't
know.
Out there,
I don't know.
Policing their own, doing their own.
No, I don't think so.
They're not.
No, I think it's. I honestly don't know. I don't know the whole situation.
Maybe some. Maybe it's not.
I just know. I remember someone commenting about like, real strong opinions about their native population.
Since we're talking about races,
oh God!
After your last. No, not the last. The one before, when you guys got bombed or something. Or not bombed. What happened? You got hacked by Nazis? Raided by Neo.
This is the episode that just aired. Or it was
one
last
before
week.
Last.
Well, it was last week.
Because you just did one.
Yes, it was last week.
It's like 286 or something.
277.
Okay.
Yes.
I was actually tuning in when I saw all the text about the Fourth Reich rising again.
Yeah. Wait, the Fourth Reich can't rise again. It rise for the first time.
It will rise for the first time.
Yes.
I had to look up the Reichs after this because I was like,
okay, when was which Reich?
Because I talked to your brother and he thought that Roman Empire was a Reich, and I'm like, you can't count that as a Reich. That's Roman Empire.
Was it a Reich?
No.
Okay.
Roman Empire, or the First Reich, is like the beginning of the German Empire.
Okay.
Which is like 900 to 1821 until presumably the German Empire went tits up.
Okay.
And then a bunch of nothing happened for like 70 years. Uh-huh. I'm assuming that poverty.
Yeah.
Just garbage laying in the street, all kinds of stuff. And then they start getting organized again. Yeah. Second Reich would be the lead up to World War I and them losing World War I.
Yeah.
Then that would be the end of the Second Reich.
Yep.
Third Reich would be 10-year Hitler reign.
Yes.
Fourth Reich would be question mark, you know.
Yeah, got it.
We are, I believe, in a period of the longest gap between Reichs, though. So,
oh man,
either we're
due for a Reich. The forecast says Reich incoming.
Or they're just like tremendous losers and it's over. I can't tell the difference.
Or maybe they've gotten past Reichs. No, they're just
good. I think if they get up to shenanigans again, we're going to call it a Reich.
Fair enough.
I don't know if the other two Reichs or the First Reich was bad.
I don't think it was, because it was like hundreds and hundreds of years?
Yeah, so. It was almost like 1,000 years. Yeah. Right? I think that's the one they always measured themselves against. Because Hitler said that his was going to be 1,000 years.
Yeah, okay.
Just like the first one.
Yeah. The Second Reich's interesting because I actually have been reading a World War I book. It's called the Guns of August, and it's kind of about the lead up to World War I, kind of the complicated political situation that was happening, where it was just like thousands of not thousands, but like all these different treaties that everyone had with each other, and like, if you do this, and it was like, okay, Germany, if you attack France, then we won't declare war on you, but if you go through Belgium, who's neutral, we will declare war on you because we have a treaty, or Belgium has a treaty with you to not be attacked, and if you break that, then that's like breaking our treaty. It's like all this like complicated shit.
Wow.
So, and Germany knew all this and was like, no, we're going through Belgium. Fuck you. And didn't work out for Germany.
No.
Because they were like, we're going to fight two wars, because they had already started fighting against the Russians. And then they're like, all right, we got to strike France. We got a chance. And, you know.
It just shows, like, we're lucky those treaties were in place that were violated, because got people in to fight them.
No, yeah. Well, yeah.
If he'd had a cooler head on his shoulders and had followed the minutia of treaties, might have been a little different story.
Germany was in a situation where they were very war hungry because they had built this awesome army and they had all these great generals, and they were like, we need to use this now. Germany needs to expand, and like they just
because they used the war economy to bring themselves out of a depression.
Yeah.
So then they needed to fight something.
Yes. So it was just kind of like they were spoiling for a fight, and they just eventually they're like, all right, this is our chance now. And it was stupid because they were already fighting Russia, and a lot of the advisors were like, let's just focus on Russia and not try and expand into France, even though we think it could be easy pickings. Yeah.
I was reading some of the... I don't know how far we're going to go down this, but
sure.
I just thought this was funny that there was some tweet that Trump put out where it said that thanks to his campaign promise being fulfilled of updating our nuclear arsenal, we now have the best. And it's like, really? In how many days you just upgraded everything? You upgraded all of our nuclear arsenal.
I put a call out. We got him. What's really funny is that
how long does that take?
Like not only is that part inaccurate, the fact that like our nuclear arsenal is the smallest it's ever been because have treaties with Russia to both mutually be lowering our stockpiles. Like, it's never been smaller, you know what I mean? And
I think
Russia's
they've been
has never been
repurposing some of the uranium.
I don't even know, but we're disposing of it or doing whatever with it to make them smaller. Because like the amount of like missiles we have is like thousands, and like the next country Russia has more slightly, like thousands, and we have thousands, and then the like next country after that's like Germany, who has like 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we got a lot. You don't really need 1,000 nukes to destroy the entire world. You need
honestly,
a couple hundred.
And something that like can't. He's talking about something that can't be like fact checked.
Oh no.
Because nobody knows where our missiles are.
No, it's like secret. In a lot of cases.
And nobody knows what type of system we use to update or keep checks on. You know what we don't know these things.
You know,
all I know is in 200 something odd days, he did not improve our arsenal.
Well, yeah. Well, you would have had to
that's
fit
nonsense.
You would have had to fit it in around like the 37 rounds of golf he's played or whatever. Like, he's got the phone on the cart. He's just like, all right, put the nuke there.
I think that all presidents should just play golf. I mean, as much as they can.
Well, a lot of them do. Actually,
I think that politicians are too goddamn busy. And if they were less busy, we'd be better off.
Take a break.
Well, they have to be, they always have to be doing something, and they have to be meddling. And I think that we're better off without them sometimes.
A little more time off.
Well, they always got to be. Well, the thing with him is he actually doesn't do anything. So.
One could even argue, and I don't want to defend the guy, but one could even argue...
I was thinking about this too.
One can even argue that presidents really don't do a lot. They sign bills that they get, or veto them. Now, this is an interesting thing too, because I was reading about the way that the use of nuclear weapons happens. The president has the sole authority to order a nuclear strike. Mm-hmm. They're the only person. Congress can't do that. Only the president can say yes. But we didn't build a system where you could have some president say, go nuke that, and they do it. Because that's not how it works. They have a two-man system where the Joint Chiefs of Military Staff have to agree with the order, and then the two people in agreement release the codes, and it goes. So it isn't just one person that gets to decide. It's the person tells the military to do it. The military's like, this is in the best interest to protect the United States. So yes, we agree with this. We're going to do it. So it can't just be like, you know what I mean? Like that was always like, oh, like what if Hillary was on her period and decided to, even though she's in menopause, whatever. You know what I mean? Though, like everyone's like, oh, woman president. Oh, it's that time of the month. Say goodbye to North Korea. Like, no, that's not how it works. It's like, yeah, they give the order, but it goes through like a bunch of bureaucratic procedure before it goes through. Or I also heard that they can do it in 15 minutes if it's like new missiles are coming in. They can expedite it. But in that case, no one's going to argue. Missiles are in the air.
Right.
There's no going back after that. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a whole system. So not just that. I think there's a podcast, I can't remember if it was Radio Lab or something, where they interviewed one of the people that was one of the code holders, and they were like, we're taught, like, you can refuse the order. Like,
what if?
Like, it's like, hey, because they pick like the best of the best, like Air Force people to do this, and they're like, they tell you, if you think that this is being done to harm America, like to do like this, you can say no. Like, you can disobey. You might get court-martialed, and someone might replace you, but you're allowed to say no. So you don't have that on your mind.
You haven't seen a little movie called The Dead Zone.
That's true. I haven't. I should see that. I heard it's amazing.
Martin Sheen demands to launch nukes, and his number 2 guy, who he needs, as you explained, they have this right in the movie. Mm-hmm. He needs to like put his palm on this laptop computer.
You need 2 people
to identify him, and then use the code, right? And he refuses. And Martin Sheen says in his scariest Martin Sheen voice, "You put your goddamn hand on that screen, or I'll chop it off and put it on myself." And then the nukes fly and the world ends.
Nice.
But that's in the future. That's what Christopher Walken is trying to prevent.
Okay. Lance, you, me, pact. We're never voting for Martin Sheen to be president. Because we know how that ends.
I know. They worked that into the last season of West Wing, I think.
Just the Dead Zone starts playing.
Like you failed, Walken.
Yeah.
This whole movie or 7-year show was a lead up to a sequel to The Dead Zone.
Yeah.
The people were really into that, and
The Dead Zone?
No, the West Wing. I remember when that was a big thing.
I never watched that. It
was an old people's show.
Well, when you were watching, when you were living with Adam Ham, our dearest former roommate, I came over and he'd be watching The West Wing because he got way into The West Wing his last year that he was here.
Probably the only person in my age group that consistently watched network TV. Nobody else I know did.
Oh, I know. I'll talk to him and he's like, "Oh yeah,
he's watching The Mentalist."
Oh, I know. I watched the entire The Good Wife. Like, what is Adam? Adam's a TV junkie when it comes to it. He just loves watching TV shows. You know?
But knowing this, it's going to be weird to see what happens to the big channels in 20 years, because I'm not going to watch them. No. I've grown up as an adult completely ignoring them.
I'm trying to think of the last network TV show that I've watched.
I just don't like how everything is so mainstream on them. I don't like how they don't take chances and they just kind of I've always been like a very specialized audience type of guy, and it's just too broad for me to really get into a lot of it. It has to appeal to just a huge amount of people.
I think the last things I watched on network TV was like 30 Rock, like when that season ended.
I watched a couple of years of that.
Or like Parks and Rec. Like when those like NBC comedies kind of ended is kind of when I stopped, because then they were like, all right, let's stop doing like the single camera like thing. Let's go back to the multicam sitcoms. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. Like this with the laugh track. Yeah, that's what my parents watch. Yeah. So no,
I hated that when it was on, except for a couple.
There's very rare. Seinfeld's good.
Roseanne. Married with Children.
Oh man, I had never watched that, and I was I forget where we were on vacation or something, and it was on, and I watched an episode that was. Really funny, and I was like, man, this show is really good.
I remember watching. Talk about a hit and miss show, and this is just golden age TV watching, because people aren't going to remember, know this type of stuff.
Yeah.
You remember sitting there and Mad About You would come on and you'd hope it was one of the good episodes because the show wasn't that good, but it wasn't all bad.
This is like the awesome thing that I think that I think the future generations are missing is that, like, and we talked about this a little bit when we were watching the movie downstairs before we came out to record, The Island of Dr. Moreau. You had mentioned this was like a movie that would just be on TV. And, like, it was a Sunday, and you didn't have anywhere to go because you couldn't drive. And you just are like, well, I guess I'm going to watch this because it's on. And, like, people don't have that anymore because everything's so on demand. Like, you can just be like, oh, I'm going to go on Netflix and watch the show I want to watch. Or I'm going to go on HBO Go and watch the movie or TV show I want to watch.
Also, when you're younger, you're not allowed to just go where you want to go.
Yeah.
So you literally have to be around the house.
Oh, yeah. I remember just sitting around flipping through channels and being like, I guess I'm going to watch this episode of Mad About You because it's on between, it's the thing that's on before Conan, you know, like, I guess I'm going to catch the tail end of this, you know, and...
Yeah, I never could stand, like, morning talk shows. I've never been able to watch those.
Yeah. My mom would always put on the Today Show, and Lauren's mom, same thing. Because Lauren used to put the Today Show on here, and I was like, I can't watch this. It's so awful. Morning shows are so bad. And I used to love it when I was a kid.
Oh, I don't like their, like, tittering voices.
Oh, yeah. And it's just so light. Like, it's like, here's 10 travel tips on how to, make your carry-on luggage more, efficient. You're like, what is this?
Those dumb boobs trying to put their faces on the glass or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in the background, like, we got married today. And we decided to fucking come and stand in the background of a network TV, like, news infotainment show. Like, what?
For what reason?
Yeah. I never got that.
Because now, especially with, like, the way things are with technology, for what reason do you want to even be photographed on TV? Like, it means the same as somebody being posted on YouTube.
Oh, I know. It's insane.
People used to be excited to be like, that was our sign at the football game that they showed for half a second. Who cares?
Well, there's an episode of...
Not that I ever cared in the first place.
Yeah,
but
there's an episode of WWE Raw from last summer, 2016, like, spring. You can see my brother, Lauren, and me in the background.
Sure.
Because we were sitting camera side, so it was pretty awesome. We had bought the New Day unicorn horns that were, like, flashing, and you can see 3 of them in the background behind AJ Styles' like face when he's talking. You can see it's like, that's us right there, because I was like, oh shit, that's right where he's sitting. So that was cool, but that's just kind of like I don't really care that much. It just was kind of fun to watch the episode back.
Well, that's like kind of funny.
Yeah, because you can see us in the background. Hats. Yeah. Wearing our stupid hats. We had signs that were about this big, though. They were way too small. But Lauren wanted to have tiny signs that said dumb shit on them. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's just not there anymore. Because the bar to becoming famous is so low at this point.
It's not even. It's like it's just
not famous.
Being like put on any type of media exposure, like being on a news. I mean, I've been told my parents saw me on the news in town here around the holidays, walking around the mall before.
Oh, really? Just in the background?
Yeah,
that's funny.
And I was like, oh yeah, I could go to the mall. I mean, I never searched out the footage or anything.
No, of course. Who cares?
No.
In the background.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Now, if you were, like, getting interviewed, and you were saying, I want the gold, like the Leprechaun video.
What would I be interviewed about now around here?
If someone died. Was it you that told me that you, when you were downtown, someone had jumped out of a parking ramp?
Yeah, I saw that guy's legs.
I think this is like from like Bite episode
Feet up.
3 or something when we talked about this.
I was like,
it was early on.
I had that like really weird feeling too, where I remember the authorities were there.
Yeah,
but I remember like because I saw the legs pointed up.
Oh, ooh.
And they were like pasty white legs, and there was like shorts on, and couldn't see anything else. It wasn't covered up yet. It was just my vision was obscured. And, like, I hit that, like, charge where you, like, kind of want to get closer, but then you don't want to see it because if you see it and it's bad, you don't want to, like, be scarred by it.
Yeah.
So you just like heart starts like pounding. You're kind of like, do I get closer? And I was like, no, I can't get closer.
No, better not. Better to not.
But you know what I mean? I saw that. I've had that feeling a couple times when I saw a car accident one time, and it was literally going end over end on a highway. It was like 70 miles per hour. It had literally flown in the air and ended up over.
I think you told me about this one too. Yeah,
it flew and it ended up over a fence in a field.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty far if you go past a fence off of a highway or interstate.
I think I remember.
And I had that same feeling of just like heart pumping. I don't know what I'm going to see when I open that door. Or I didn't open the door, but when I got on the scene, I was like, this person's dead. That was the first thing I thought. I was like,
there's no way.
I don't think so. I've never seen a thing like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Amazing thing about cars, if you have your seatbelt on, they do a hell of a job protecting you.
Yep. That's why you wear a seatbelt.
Especially if you're ever going on a fucking interstate.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
The things cars can do with those speeds. You want to have the seatbelt on.
Oh, yeah. Holy cow.
Because that person have a seatbelt on, got to be dead.
Yeah.
Or brain damaged.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other bad thing.
Well, you thrown out.
Survive and you're fucking brain damaged.
Oh, so I actually read a pretty grisly thing about... Not grisly, because the person didn't die or anything, and they didn't even have anything like horribly bodily wrong. But they had been riding... It was a lady who was riding with her husband, I think, was driving, and she didn't have her seatbelt on, and she had her leg up on the dash.
Oh no!
And they got into an accident where he T-boned someone else, and
it's like Death Proof, right? The leg went flying out.
No. The airbag went off, of course, underneath her leg,
pelvis,
and pushed her leg back into her face so hard that it broke her cheekbone and shattered her foot.
And her
hip. Her knee, all of her tendons and shit were torn up because it twisted the leg.
I always thought that was a stupid way to ride in a car.
Totally not dead, totally not disfigured for life. She just, had to have a lot of, cast and surgery to repair the knee and the face, but not dead or anything, but if you would have been having your leg down with your seatbelt, you would have had likely, oh man, I got the airbag hit me in the face. Oh, I'm a little dizzy. All right. Well, I guess I'll walk home because I'm not hurt.
Right.
Because a car is built to do that. I've been in a head-on collision before, and I had to go to the hospital actually, but I didn't have to stay because I had my seatbelt on. I just had some cuts from the glass. I had a big glass shard in my shoulder and a bunch of cuts on my leg here from the plastic that got ripped up. It sliced my leg, but nothing.
That's why I want to watch these old car shows. Everybody's so pumped about these cars.
Yeah, they're death machines.
Oh Jesus! You hit one thing, the engine, and it just cuts you in half or something.
Yeah, they talked about
comes right through the.
They talk about the old cars from the 20s. They had plate glass windshields. So an accident just shatters shards of knives at you basically. And they're 20-mile-an-hour accidents would be fatal because they would just glass would shatter and cut arteries and shit.
Yep.
And now of course they have safety glass, so none of that happens anymore.
Well, and yeah, I mean it's reached a point now where I know those classic cars are worth more.
Yeah.
But it's reached a point where I don't care how cool you think it is, probably not driving that at any high speed.
Well, and they don't drive them usually anyway.
No,
you just have it just to show off and drive around every once in a while.
Right.
Go on a little weekend drive to go to a car show.
This is why I can't even get into the whole psychology of wanting to be a classic car collector. I don't get. Okay, maybe Jay Leno's got a fucking quarter-mile track.
Well, when you've got
I guarantee
money,
he's got a track.
Yeah, when you've got money to have a giant car museum, basically of fancy old cars.
How about that guy? He gets paid probably six figures for a stand-up set, and he was never a good stand-up comedian.
He's okay.
Was his monologues on a show, though? I mean, he's likable. That's what I liked about Jay Leno.
Yeah. He was a really likable guy and a good interview.
And he kept things like, seemed like I had a lot of energy, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, let's get to the... But, I mean, 6 figures for his stand-up set.
Famous, you know?
Which would be basically what you saw on The Tonight Show.
Yeah,
only
30 minutes.
Longer.
Hour. 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what the set
With
is.
more like marriage jokes peppered
probably,
in.
yeah. More personal stuff, but same caliber.
More local area jokes, wherever he is.
How's it going, Phoenix? You know, like that kind of stuff.
But, I mean, I think he was a talented personality. I mean, I just think it's just kind of... what a great life. He's a charmed life Jay Leno's had.
Hey, he's a nice guy, you know.
He was the smart guy. I believe the legend is that there was a bidding war over Johnny Carson's chair.
Yeah.
And he put down, for his number, nothing. He said he would do it for nothing. And kind of hard to turn that down. And he'd already sat in for Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
That's why those hosts hate guest hosts.
Oh, yeah. They talk about, we talked about the Larry Sanders Show's 25th anniversary. There's multiple times when Larry Sanders has to go on vacation. And they're like, oh, we can get Jon Stewart in. You know, audience loves him, you know, like he does a great job, takes over. And he's like, don't put fucking Jon there. Like, because he knows, like, if he does well enough, it's like, well, Jon Stewart's way cheaper than you are. So
they go with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. They get,
and it was somebody who's obviously never going to have designs on. That's why Letterman always had Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Because Jerry didn't fucking want his job.
Oh, that reminds me.
Do you want, like, somebody, like, that's the perfect...
Yeah.
Like, okay, the young guys now, none of them have taken breaks because they were all young and
they're all like
afraid to lose their jobs. But when Fallon needs a break now, he's gonna like try to go to a really famous.
You should bring on
like
Leno or something.
A movie.
Like, he's not gonna come back. He's like
great.
Old.
That would actually be funny.
Yeah, bring him on.
Or
like a movie star.
Kimmel will try to bring in like Matt Damon probably.
Yeah.
And Fallon will try to bring in somebody who's a movie star who can't take his job.
Yeah.
None of them are going to do what Carson used to do, which is to bring in comedians who actually could take. Yeah. Used to have Joan Rivers on.
Yeah.
Used to have Jay Leno, who did take his job. Maybe even pushed him out the door before he wanted to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Letterman... He didn't fuck around.
No,
he had already lost out to the the Leno sweepstakes. So I can't name a Letterman guest host other than Seinfeld.
Yeah, Letterman's tough. I know it's gonna sound sacrilegious, but I feel like I prefer Jay Leno over David Letterman because there's something about Letterman I didn't like. He was very mean, you know, and I liked how nice Jay was. And I think the other reason I watched Jay Leno over Dave Letterman is because I watched Conan. And so, it's already close to bedtime. I'll just sit through fucking Leno so I can get to Conan. You know what I mean? Like,
I think, though, what it was with the Letterman was that he had a condescending attitude.
Yeah.
And he
was a great interviewer with people when they were like Cher, and like when he would get someone, he would not be afraid to fuck with them.
And when I say condescending, I don't mean
I know
all
what you
the
mean,
time.
Though. I know what you mean, though. Sometimes it would come off that way. You know?
Like he was...
kind of mean-spirited.
Like, just... Yeah, whereas Leno was more of a goof.
Well, Leno made fun of himself a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Letterman ever made fun of himself, you know?
And also Letterman had, like, the darker, you know...
There's stuff going on there, apparently.
Banged an intern.
Oh, a lot of interns. Well... One of them came out, but I feel like the rumor was there was a lot of backstage Letterman, you know, philandering going on. So over the many, many years, not like the most recent one. It was like, yeah, I was with this show for 20 years, and then all of a sudden I started dating an intern. Like, no, that's not how people work. You were working those interns from day one.
Well, and like I feel like Leno is more of a straight shooter, but I don't know. I thought, honestly,
but I'm not going to say either show is great. You know what I mean? I'm never going to say either of these are amazing. I'm just saying if I had to watch one, I would watch Leno.
Long periods of my life growing up where not only didn't we have cable, we got those 3 channels. So,
oh, wow. I always had cable or satellite.
We had a decision to make. And it was going to be... we always picked Leno. I mean, maybe if some star was on Letterman... that
True.
the ad said.
That would change, yeah. That would be like, okay, if I want to see so-and-so talk.
But every time I tuned into Letterman, I didn't like his top 10 list very much.
No, I didn't like his...
Didn't much care for Paul Schaefer's cackling laughter.
Fuck, man.
I much preferred Kevin Eubanks and Jay Leno to...
Kevin Eubanks, just quiet, like, laughter that would happen. You know, he'd be like, hey, Kevin, how's it going? Haha, Jay.
Even though he laughed at jokes that weren't funny, it felt like good humor to kind of...
Well, Jay had some fun stuff. And he had Kevin Smith do like some shot or some like I think he went around the U.S. to like dumb monuments and shit. Like he had some really good like gags. Like jaywalking was always interesting because you're just like why?
You know what I always thought was great looking back was how everybody did that segment, especially I mean Jay was always in. See, he moved from coast to coast sometimes. I can't remember if he was on
the West Coast.
He's always West Coast. Okay.
Yeah. They'd go like the Universal City Walk and find tourists.
But they, the funny thing to me was that because Stern always claimed to have invented talking to passersby.
Okay. I know. Is just a basic like news.
That's something that's been happening since people had microphones and cameras.
Yeah.
Right?
What do you have to say about this?
Hey, you remember watching like Nickelodeon? They would do that.
Oh yeah,
just random shows.
Yeah.
And hey, let's talk to the. And he said, "Oh, I was the first one to have a news segment, and then ask people as they walked by." And he was saying that they all stole it from him. But honestly, I thought that of the groups that have done it, Kimmel has to be the worst of talking to people on the street. I've never seen a worse segment. He always has his like cousin guy do it, or is like, this is, I don't even know who this guy is. Some guy goes out there, and he talks, and I don't know, something about Kimmel just like misfires a lot of jokes for me. It just, I don't know.
He's all right. I liked the celebrities read mean tweets.
I feel like he needs a co-host.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a solo act really.
The celebrities reading the mean tweet segment is genius. So genius.
His show has some great stuff.
Holy crap! Whoever came up with that is a genius.
I wasn't a big fan of the Man Show either, so maybe I don't know. That show sucked. Actually,
I
thought they both were very they were talented and they both went on to do great. Yeah. They both did better than the Man Show.
Yeah.
Man Show was like,
yeah, but. I just don't, there's just no urge to watch late night stuff anymore. No. You know what I mean? Like I wish I could watch Conan, but I just don't.
It's the guest though, and their managers ruined it.
Yeah.
Because they're also
Nobody has a real conversation anymore.
Nope. And it goes both ways, I understand, but a lot of it is these like managers of movie stars who are afraid to have conversations.
Yeah.
And they just are like they basically will either come out and talk about something really fucked up.
Yeah.
Or they'll come out and it'll be news and they'll tell you 2 days before Joaquin Phoenix is fucking coming
he's going to come and do a fucking crazy thing on the Tonight Show.
Whoa. By the way, I don't know if you saw that horrible movie he did.
I did not, but as soon as I heard it was fake, I was like, I'm not interested.
So bad.
But
everybody knew it was fake to begin with.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I was just like, yeah, this isn't worth my time.
But he but all these like movie stars and these things they're coming out with, the classic talk shows from the 70s had like, I remember I've watched like an old Merv Griffin interview. I was going through a period where I was watching old Dick Cavett.
What the fuck, Lance?
I know.
What is up with your life?
I was watching old Dick Cavett interviews and old Merv Griffin interviews. Yeah. And I saw one. I was watching a lot of Orson Welles ones because he was probably the best guest ever.
Oh yeah,
the most interesting guest ever. And he had one because he was married to Rita Hayworth.
Yeah.
And Merv Griffin was like totally into her, just like talking about her.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Here's his question." The way he phrases it was amazing. He goes, "So you let's talk about you being married to Rita Hayworth. Must have been pretty great, huh, Rita?" just like had no question. He just starts to like fall away. He's just like, "Oh my god, you were with Rita Hayworth."
Yeah, I know.
Like he just like totally just wanted to hear a little something like, hey, how about you talk for a minute about it? Like, okay, I guess they were married for like 18 months, but
that's crazy. Yeah, like those old shows.
That's such a like it wasn't a lead in. You know, they have to like lead the witness now and all these questions.
Those old shows were. Well, I think
heard a little thing happened in Poconos. Yeah. How about you tell me about the story we have canned for the?
Yeah, there was a. I think there's a Inside Amy Schumer segment where she kind of did a parody of like what every young actress has as like their Tonight Show like conversation. She had like, it was really funny because she like sat down, her legs were like just like blinding white, like shining, you know what I mean? Like she was like really like dolled up, and it was just like this dumb shit, you know, like, oh, we heard you got into this little scuffle where you lost your top on the thing. She's like, oh, it was so embarrassing, you know, just like all this like really flattering stories and shit, you know, and like it's like this just kind of the way it's like a PR thing. Like the interviews are just like, who cares? But yeah, like on those old shows, it was like, you know, two people smoking cigarettes, like being like, all right, how was that? Like, tell me your real life, you know what I mean? Like, and that just doesn't happen because people, it's just, you see it.
You know what it is though with the hosts that's different between like Merv Griffin, who's like kind of schlocky, but like Cavett was probably the best.
Yeah.
And what I liked, what's different is this like constant strive from the hosts to be like more popular. There was not that pressure on these hosts back in the 70s where it was, I'm sure it was backstage, but like it didn't leak onto the set.
No.
I feel a desperation in these hosts to be number one all the time.
Because they got to be a personality to sell themselves.
There's too much pressure for me to tune in. It's like Colbert, he's the guy we forgot about in all this.
Well, yeah. I'm sure he does great. I mean, I think his ratings...
He's not going to last.
I think his ratings are great, though.
He's already made a big mistake.
What's that?
He's chosen the political side.
I don't think that's a big mistake in this day and age.
I don't know, man.
I think we're past that.
Splitting the audience.
What are they going to go?
When you're
going to go watch Kimmel?
I don't know what they're going to do.
You're not going to watch anyone. You know what I mean? You're going to go tune into Rush Limbaugh, I guess. And that's not fun.
No.
Nobody wants to do that.
I do like his intro music. I heard it a couple times.
Well, you know what? You gotta get him right away. Get that fucking...
I don't like what comes after the intro music, though.
Well, you know. You can tune in.
Like my landlord is super into Rush. Yeah. And he... this fucking guy ever not hawking an Apple product?
Oh, my God.
He's just... We gotta... Oh, I'm gonna like take calls now. We got some Apple notebooks on the like, and so he's basically waiting for the call where somebody tells him how great he is and how they've spread the word of Rush, and then like, oh, it's just great to be on to tell you these things. You know what? I'm gonna help you out. I got you an Apple notebook right here for you.
God, what is that? Like, it's like this is like, what are you doing at this point? Like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking A, dude.
I don't know what
it's just weird.
At least with who's the crazy guy, Alex Jones.
The crazy guy, yes, Alex Jones, the one who God, just the images of that man and the red face and like the shirt being torn apart is like, what is this guy's life?
I feel like
that he's like this.
I've actually watched his show a couple of times. I feel like, because he's not as, I know he's like got his own, but he's not a normal, he's a radio show host, first of all.
I think so. I feel like radio originally,
or is he more internet now, maybe?
Yes, yes, mostly video,
He has way more like freedom than people on TV, though.
Oh yeah, because he's not. Yeah, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
I have to say something though, that, like from watching his show, I feel like I'm about to have a nervous breakdown just watching him sometimes. Yeah, like he lives life on the edge.
Yeah, dude, that guy looks like he's a second away from an aneurysm at any moment. How can you be that way? You know what I mean? Like,
whatever it is, it's gonna be a quick death for him. He's not gonna be any like wasting away in a bed for that guy. Yeah, he's gonna stroke out for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's He's a strong personality.
He had the worst interview with Dave Mustaine. I watched one time.
Of course, Dave Mustaine's gonna go on fucking InfoWars.
Oh, I know. Go see people who's in jet trails or something, chemtrails.
Oh my god, the conspiracy theory bullshit. Oh my god.
And Mustaine's a bad interview to begin with.
Yeah.
He's boring.
Well, I think he's one of those guys who just doesn't want to say anything.
Well, yeah, he's guarded, and he also, like, he's actually smart, but he's crazy, too, but you're not going to be able to, like, capitalize on that enough to, like, have a good radio, like, interview. Mm-hmm. And I've seen him interviewed on all the comedy shows, and he doesn't give you much. But, so Jones starts to lose it. Like, he starts to realize, okay, what are we going to do? Sit here and talk about Megadeth for an hour?
He's not giving me anything.
Who would want to do this?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, yeah, you guys were big a couple decades ago. So he goes...
Hangar 18. You've been to Area 51?
Yeah. Once you go through this stuff, he goes, let's talk about Cliff Burton, Metallica. He was their friend, died in a bus accident. What I read...
Oh God!
On the scene, was it the whole thing where they said that it was like Wicked Witch of the East, where the feet were coming out of the bus? Like,
Jesus,
I know, and he's like, I don't want to get it, but I mean, I'm like, what kind of question is this? Like, was your friend's feet sticking out of the bus like the Wicked Witch from the?
Holy shit! Do you know it was a good interview? Howard Stern would be good because he would always. Well, him was his whole
used to be.
I guess I haven't listened to him lately, but like his whole deal was like getting people to say shit that that's gonna get him in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Like the whole thing would be like he'd get you in there and be like, all right, we're not gonna talk about this stuff, it's fine, and then be like, all right, but what about that stuff? You know what I mean? The guy'd be like, we're not talking about that, and it's like, why not? And then they would get into a conversation where all of a sudden they'd be admitting to doing all this shit, and you're like, God damn it. You know what I mean? Like, he was just that kind of guy.
Well,
like,
he brought on Steve-O at the height of his drug addiction.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, he knows to get people that don't have publicists as well. Or if they have publicists, he's like, hey, you want to go next door for a little bit while we have this interview so you can't interrupt me? Yeah. But this isn't a thing anymore. It's the same thing with every athlete. Like, you see, like, Russell Wilson's like a walking, talking brand machine. And, like, Tom Brady as well. You know, everyone's just like...
I know we still are going to watch Hard Knocks. And but, you know, I feel like, you know, with the football season starting everything, I have never cared less about, like, professional football or the players who play it than I have right now. Because well, actually, there was a period where I didn't watch it at all in the middle when the Packers were bad. But here's what I'm thinking now. Because you know, like, the whole story with these training camp shows, it's like, what about this guy? He was a high draft pick, but maybe he can make something of himself. Maybe he can make the team. And then, like, oh, this guy's a high draft pick, so he'll be there a couple years anyway. He'll be a big star.
Yeah.
I'm getting, like, so jaded now that I'm kind of like, well, even if he is nobody and makes a team and becomes something, he'll just be a dickhead. Like, it won't be long before he you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, it's just the way it is.
I guess it's with all walks of entertainment, though. You have the same thing where it's like, oh, I knew him before he was big. You know, what's the difference?
Like you said, you don't want to divide the audience, like you said with Colbert, and it's the same thing. And so it's exactly what happened with a certain person who has probably been talked about to death on sports radio. But like, it comes to the point where a lot of people are just like, it's just not worth saying anything because it's not going to do you any favors ever. You know what I mean? So let's all be giant robots that just spout out like, you know, the other team played real hard, you know, but we came out on top and they have a lot of great players, and that's it. I'm going to go take a shower. Like, no emotion, nothing. Like, you know, never anything. And every once in a while you see that come out, you know, and you'll have a great press conference where someone will just give you a death stare or say some shit, you know, and like, all right, we got a human moment out of this. But sometimes, you know, you just don't get that. And most of the time you don't. And it just kind of sucks that every sport, though, is turned into that.
And those things are are made to promote the leagues.
Yes.
And that's the thing that these players forget sometimes because they get so wrapped up in their own shit that they remember. Yeah. You remember Brett Favre one time? He wanted to play a whole season and not do any interviews.
Yeah.
And they're like,
you can't.
You especially can't.
Yeah, you
can't be a face of the league and not talk to anybody. You fucking. But if anybody, I actually kind of understand his thought though a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I could see him kind of, or not even just him. I mean, I probably wouldn't go full on like Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Just randomly, I don't even know what his interviews consist of. They're just increasingly bizarre. Is all I know about him.
Well, I love Marshawn Lynch because he likes to he's like the fucking chaotic, like neutral. He's just like, I'm just gonna fuck around because you're forcing me to be here. I don't want to be here, so I'm just gonna fuck around. Like, why? I don't want to do this. Like, it doesn't help anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Like, you know what I mean? What's the point of this? Like, it's just fucked up. Like, they make players do that too, and I understand why, but like, there's no point to any of it. It's because like the society that we're in now is you say anything slightly wrong, and you'll be crucified for it. So why say anything at all? There's no reason to.
Well, and the problem that a lot of athletes run into, is that they mean to say something, but they have a hard time expressing it.
Yeah, well, because they're not. These are athletes, not media trained. Like, but you see athletes that get that way, like your Russell Wilson and Tom Brady, who are just like they know exactly what to say and sound like a fucking PR piece. Whereas, like sometimes, you'll get a younger athlete who'll just say what's on their mind, and be like, "Boy, that was dumb." But then it doesn't matter.
And that's where we won't talk about he who should not be named.
He should not be named.
But I feel like he had some problem expressing himself in the way he maybe wants to, in that he, a lot of it comes off as a little choppy, not quite coherent. There's a lot of emotion behind a lot of it, but not really a coherent message.
Jay Cutler is back playing.
I know.
How is this possible?
Dude.
I'd rather have Jay Cutler as well, but, like, it's just... So, when you have a team... I can't believe that he's still not signed to a team. You have a team with Christian Hackenberg starting, and it's like, we're going to win games.
Wait,
it's like,
you say that like it's a sure thing Hackenberg's going to... I don't
he
think
may
it's
not
a
have
sure
won
thing
the starting job. You know what I mean? It's just at this point where it's just like, Jesus Christ. We're putting out whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm just happy that the best hair of the league for the last 5 years returns. I mean, he's got that thing combed perfectly. Cutler. He's always got this amazing, like...
You got weird hair.
No way, dude. Take another look. It's got to be reigning supreme since Brady had the long hair.
I've got to say...
that was the best.
Nobody
was going to chop Brady with freaking long hair.
I've got to say...
he went total movie star that year. It was great.
I love when players though have really long hair, like an afro that's like all the way inside the helmet. So when they take it off, it's just like Polamalu would have that, and they would just like pull it off and just be this giant fucking hair. Oh man!
But I mean, who do you think? I mean, who do you even got now?
Best hair?
Yeah,
that's tough.
Matthews has had some pretty great hair. I can't give it to him.
Scraggly though.
The beard was ruining it.
Let me think. Who's got?
I'm just saying, like
Tom Brady's hair is okay.
Matthews would be in the conversation, like not now, but like when he's younger.
I gotta look up what Jay Cutler's hair is because I think he looks like a 1990s like talk show host hair is what he's doing.
No, I think he's got that like Beverly Hills 90210 like jerk guy. Like,
oh, you're saying he's in character?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying it works.
Or Encino Man, like the bad boyfriend in Encino Man type of thing.
Okay, I'm seeing it. I like that he's back. One of my favorite tweets though that I saw was somebody there was a post saying Jay Cutler has passed all of the physicals. He's now officially a Dolphin. And someone had commented saying, "This would be an amazing tweet if football didn't exist."
I know. I was kind of thinking.
It's just like he is now a Dolphin. Oh shit, that's so crazy. But like, oh man, football is about to start. You know, like I'm more excited I think than I was last year. I don't know why. I think my fantasy team's going to do better.
I read on Drew Majory's Why Your Team Sucks.
Oh, yeah.
He had a great...
These are so good. I hope...
I know. Every year we talk about...
I can't wait till he gets the Packers one. Every year he's put mine in, and I'm looking forward to the one I wrote him this year. I believe I mentioned the Sochi Olympics at one point in it. So if it does show up, I took a photo of Lambeau Stadium from like one of the side streets that's just across the street from it, and I was like, this stadium in this city looks like what Russia did in Sochi, and these neighborhoods like the ones that they covered in fucking concrete blocks so people couldn't see them. This is where this stadium is. It's in a fucking middle of a fucking suburb, you know. It's like crazy.
Oh, I know.
But anyway, sorry, what were you saying? What you read?
He had, just one of my favorite descriptions of a player so far was Richie Incognito, who he described.
I love that there's like a Richie Incognito like fucking redemption story train happening right now. And it's like, the white dude who is like unironically dropping N-bombs in the locker room now gets a...
who is basically the villain of a whole Hard Knocks season.
Yeah, where like
remember that?
He bullied a person like off a team.
And out of the league.
Like a player who was not bad.
Do you remember like how uncomfortable the players seemed around him in that one? Where he would like take his shirt off and started running after them, and he was like had his chest out like a gorilla. He was just like, what? Like he was
that guy in the locker room, like in high school, that you were just like, I'm trying and time my locker room like visits to not coincide with this person, because I don't want to. I want them to be out, or I want to get in and out before they're in there, because they're just gonna just.
Mitchell has a couple. I remember in a couple years past, he has a couple of good Incognito rips where the first one was during the Hard Knocks with the Dolphin up, and the guy, and he goes, "Oh, that's right, because you've played for such dynasties as the Buffalo Bills and the St. Louis Rams. Like, who are you to come at the new guy with this?" And then this one, he describes Incognito as like a 320-pound hunk of man meat.
Yeah.
That's just funny.
It's what he is. He's just like a giant slab of like fucking dude. All right. Let's take a quick break here. All right, we're back from our short break. So we talked about did you want to just go right into it?
Oh, I just was going to say, I hope our listeners enjoyed the break music. I always do.
Oh, yes?
I do. I was like, oh, that's pleasant.
That's Matt Hagg.
Oh, right, yeah.
At Matt Hagg Music composed all that. He's a real talented guy.
Brilliant musician.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank you on his behalf. He
never ceases to amaze me with the production quality of the things he does.
Holy cow, he puts together some real good stuff. We should transition off of the footballs.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear my I don't even know how to describe it.
Hot takes, medium takes.
A lazy interest in football at the moment. I mean, what am I really even talking about?
I know.
Nobody wants to hear.
I know, and like never mind. I don't even want to talk about it. It was like, the Packers had a preseason game last night, and like 7 people got injured. So that's always a good sign.
I'm dialing it all back to. There used to be a time when I knew all the players and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I am becoming a total casual watcher where it's like, well, they got Rodgers in there. That's all that matters.
Yeah, basically.
I'm turning into that. Maybe like I'll know like the other 2 good guys on the team, but I don't know.
But
maybe one defensive guy. I'll know one of those.
Clay Matthews.
And then like
got that hair.
If we're lucky, another will distinguish himself.
Yeah.
But Yeah, well, this is going to be the year Matthews just becomes like a pile of garbage, so probably not him.
Well, we'll see.
He's going to be
doing
slow.
those State Farm commercials.
This is going to be the year he's like doubled over, gasping for breath on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We need to get off of that and onto an island.
Not Revis Island.
We've been captured, or we've been stranded to shipwreck, afloat and picked up by Val Kilmer, injected with some mysterious substance, and awoken on a mysterious island, the island of Dr. Moreau. Lance, you had mentioned that you had seen this movie as a child or younger.
Yeah, I was like 10.
And hadn't ever seen it since.
Yeah.
This movie actually would probably be okay for a 10-year-old to watch. Because it's probably PG-13. Right?
Yeah, I didn't see anything that was R.
There's some nudity, though. There's some weird boobs in a couple scenes. I don't think any kids can get their rocks off to those boobs that happen, but it's not that bad. Like I could see that being PG-13. But David Thewlis stars in The Island of Dr. Moreau. This is the 1986 movie.
He probably plays the weakest leading man I've seen in an American movie. Is there a weaker lead in these types of big movies where there's always someone in charge, somebody we're following their journey, and has there ever been a weaker lead for this type of movie than David Thewlis?
Not really, because I will say, when you think of The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage, that's a bad movie, and he certainly doesn't do anything to help it. But he made strong choices in that movie. And he is probably... That's true. He is very forceful as a leading man in that movie.
Oh,
and
Nicolas Cage.
A little unhinged,
always.
Maybe. Whereas David Thewlis, I think, is a little bit more... plays the horror of the island a lot more quietly, I guess. More, in his face. And he's a great actor.
Yeah.
But,
the
movie is so over the top, and he's not over the top.
When he,
Val Kilmer's over the top.
Fires the gun, you know it's not going to hit anything, though.
Yeah.
And you almost think, you wouldn't even be afraid if he pointed a gun at you.
No, he at one point...
because of how unimposing he is.
At one point, I actually mentioned this to Lance, but he was, sitting at a table. He was holding the gun, pointing at his head. Because he was, resting his head on the gun. I was like, what is this? What? This is not how you hold a gun. If you've ever held a gun, you would never do that.
By the way, knowing kind of film industry with their gun wranglers and stuff, I wouldn't even hold the gun that way if I was in a movie. Knowing that. But I can't think. Maybe the original Wicker Man had a weaker lead. The British movie.
I don't know who that was.
He's just some guy.
Just some guy.
But he might have. But he's not weak like Thewlis is, where he literally doesn't seem like he has a spine. He is this move. He's a slinky in this movie.
Hey man, it works out. He survives.
It's part of his acting method. I can tell, which is to be kind of
and maybe that's the way
along for the ride.
Yeah, maybe that's the way they told him to play it. It's you're just a passenger in what's happening in this crazy island.
I'm just it's just a different.
But it doesn't work for the way the movie's put together. It's so zany,
and he's not morally weak or anything.
No,
because he actually does immediately take to task what they're doing on the island.
Yeah.
And is not afraid to speak his mind.
He's this is fucking insane.
And he pretty much disagrees with them the whole movie. He's never brought around to their way of thinking.
We gotta explain what this movie is, though, because if you've never seen this or heard of what Dr. Moreau is. So David Thewlis is a man who's shipwrecked, picked up off a lifeboat by Val Kilmer, who's a little weird. The first moments. And I want to say this movie has a lot of elements that are good in it. Val Kilmer's performance from the start is awesome because he's it's the perfect way of a horror movie starts off, where he's just a little weird, because there's a scene where he injects David Thewlis with something. He's like, "What's that? What is this medicine?" He's like, "No, this is this is like what Jimi Hendrix does, you know, like he's just like, it's drugs, man, it's the good stuff, and he's like, what, like, you know what I mean? You're like, whoa, that's a weird thing to say to someone, you know, like that you're trying to help, or the other ominous line is, are you a doctor? He's like, well, yeah, more of a veterinarian.
Yeah, it's a great line now that I've watched the movie too.
And you're like, okay, and then when they get on the island, he like snaps the neck of a rabbit, like, out of nowhere, like, and then just like hands it back to David Thewlis, like, oh, it's like, yeah, it's just like really ominous.
He has like a way of acting in this movie that is kind of like a restrained bipolar type of thing going on.
He's really unhinged.
He's not screaming, but he is like completely a different mood every time you have a different scene. In the movie. Yeah,
and so the island is like, you know, he's like, all right, well, we're gonna have the radio tower fixed and call you a boat. You know, we'll get you rescued. You can just stay here for a little while. And then, like, you know, he notices like there's Nobel Science Prize and stuff for this Dr. Moreau, and he's like, oh, this is like something's going on here, and hears some weird noises in the middle of the night. Goes to investigate them, and this is what I said. I think that movie went from 0 to fucking crazy in about 1 second. Because like he goes into that room to like investigate the noise, and it's like a table with like a surgery table, and it's like this fucking crazy creature is giving birth to this fucked up baby thing. And there's a bunch of, like, half people, half animals in, like, surgery clothes around the body or of this, like, thing giving birth. And then, like, he, like, freaks out and makes a noise, and they see him. And he fucking chases off. And the movie's, you're in it.
Yeah.
At that point, it's begun. And a fucking carload of, like, ape creatures wearing tuxedos show up. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, what is this world that we live in? And, oh, my God. And
one of the, like, really funny things, now that you mention it, of the movie going from 0 to stupid really quick, or 0 to crazy.
Yeah.
I think there had to be a moment where, like, let's pretend they're, like, all real characters and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a moment where they're like, it's kind of unfortunate the way that he stumbled upon us. And
this doesn't paint us in the best light.
Yeah, Dr. Moreau's like, yeah, well, I mean, honestly, look at us. It wasn't going to be long before he was exposed in a heinous way to what we do.
This fucking island is full of half people, half animal creatures. He was going to run into it.
Yeah, and it was going to be jarring no matter what. Mm-hmm. He could have went in that weird, like, drug area in the basement. That would have been even worse than what he saw.
Yeah, there was and so like he runs off, and he meets this attractive young woman who helps him.
They're all in the pheromones in the drug den.
Yeah,
and I was just kind of like, I got to turn. I'm like, oh, they're rutting.
Yeah,
like some of them are grinded, and it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, so the movie has, and I said this, it was like I think the design of the creatures is just top notch, because it has just got this like gross body horror kind of situation going on, which really works. It's just grody, you know, like, and I loved it. But yeah, like, so they escape, and then there's this half man, half cheetah thing that has horrible CGI jumping around, which we pointed out, the 1996 CGI, which looked really bad.
I feel like the science wasn't explained, though.
No, exactly. The movie's not good. No, there are elements of good, but it just kind of goes, again, from 0 to crazy.
And it's cliche as it sounds.
Yeah.
Because Moreau's too far gone to even really talk to anymore in the movie.
Yeah.
And his assistant is just about around the bend when you start in the movie.
Yes, everyone's already mostly crazy by the time you get here.
So this would be a moment where typically a scene would be written where the David Thewlis character finds a scrapbook of all of his accomplishments.
Yeah, like
and then
seeing,
the dark,
like, the
trajectory.
Oh, I made this monkey that, like, is like living longer.
Like it's gonna work for heart transplants or something.
Yeah, stuff
and
like
then
that.
it starts to go down another road, and then suddenly he's outcast from Britain.
I'm sewing a monkey and a pig together now.
Like Brando's half-committed British accent in the
movie.
Oh
my god, yeah. They even mention he's from America at like one point, and it's like, what? Like, what is he supposed to be? What accent is this?
What does he say? He's from America?
Or they said that the animal activists drove him out of America.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he's not from
Felt
America.
Like he had an accent in one scene, though.
I think he's supposed to be German.
Oh,
because Moreau is German. I think I saw German in a diploma at one point.
Was there a scene though where he seemed to like be walking and had an accent, and then the rest of the scene he didn't quite have?
No, I agree with you. The accent was fluid. Like he was phoning it in this one. Brando's performance is phoned in, but also kind of half committed because he is full on crazy Brando mode, and the character's crazy, so it kind of works in a little bit because he's weird, and it's weird, and the fucking little guy they had to play his like helper guy was creepy. Like I could see someone going to this movie, walking out, and being like, that wasn't very good, but I am all sorts of fucked up thinking about this thing.
I feel like Brando became... He's okay, because the role you're going to compare it to is Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now.
It's kind of similar in some ways.
And in
island or tropical area, like crazy.
Oh, it's... I mean, and it's got to be... I mean, it's the two roles that are... Mm-hmm. But in a weird way, he plays a totally different character because he is disgusted by any type of violent action.
Yes, yeah. He actually specifically outlaws any killing on the island.
And the one time there's an execution, he didn't want that.
No,
it was a mistake.
It was his son, his creature who he calls his son, in a tuxedo, misunderstanding his like. He's like, I did it for you. This is what you wanted, isn't it? And he's like, no, And then that's at the point where Ron Perlman, playing an ape man as always, decides that because I guess the cheetah man was his friend or something. He's like, this is fucked up, and he rips his control chip out because like the. Dr. Moreau has like a necklace where he can hit a button.
Actually, the more I think about it, though, I think Perlman was actually the religious one who had the ram head. Mm. And then the guy with the creepy deep voice, who is the cheetah guy, or the jackal, I think is possibly another actor.
You might be right.
Because at the end... When the guy with the ram head was talking, he's like, better to walk on 4 legs instead of 2. That actually sounded more like Perlman to me.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell when they're all wearing
the makeup is so like...
Because I remember when Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton one came out, and I was trying to figure out who was who. I remember Tim Roth was in it, and I was trying to figure out who he was. So it's like, I don't know. Everybody has the face of an ape.
Lance, your totes right. It's the ram guy.
Okay. But you remember, like, when they said Michael Clark Duncan and Tim Roth were in Planet of the Apes, and I couldn't figure out where they were.
No, because they're, like, completely done up makeup, yeah.
Other than, I guess, that they're the 2 leads.
Darn it, I just thought that guy was him. I just assumed because that guy got a lot of screen time.
Right.
So I just assumed with, like, the billing that, that was him, but I guess not. Yeah.
It was hard to tell, though. You knew Perlman was in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, he was a heavily make-upped character no matter which one he was. But, and so David Thewlis just kind of stumbles onto the insanity, and then it just becomes everything devolves, like, instantly. Like, the same day. Like, everything just falls apart. And, like, Val Kilmer is, like, feeding all the, like, monster creatures in the village, like, drugs to make him feel better and, like, keep him off his back, like, give him just LSD and shit. And, the not Ron Perlman, the ape man, is out in the distance, and he's like, come in. And the guy, like, I think he even shows him that he ripped his control chip out, and, like, he's like, oh, shit. And he, like, starts shooting at him with the tranquilizer gun, and he gets away, and comes back later in the night and raids the compound and kills the Dr. Moreau, like, right away. I was like, oh, he's he's gone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything kind of happened really fast.
Yeah.
The ending. But it all, like, the turn happened really quickly, and then there was a lot of movie, though, still after that. Like, it felt weirdly paced. Like, the climax... Like, I don't know.
I believe that, like, Brando was paid, like, some astronomical sum to be in that movie.
Yeah.
And he's really not in a ton of it.
No. He's
probably got 20 minutes.
Yeah. Out of an hour and a half movie.
Yeah. Like. And the allure, I remember, from what I picked up about this movie of wanting to cast him, other than the fact that everybody in Hollywood is always infatuated with having him in a movie, even if it was so clearly like his acting career is pretty much over. Like they would drag him back because that was his career for the last 20 years of it, which was basically he'd do one movie every 8 years, and then the offers would just reach fever pitch again for whatever reason. Even though nobody liked his last movie, they'd be like, we put him in a movie, people are going to notice our movie because he hasn't been in a movie.
No, yeah, exactly.
So they would do this with him over and over again.
What was that crime movie he's in for like half a second?
The Score, right?
The Score, yeah.
They're like, you remember where they're like, the selling point was like, it's Brando and De Niro together.
Except for they're not.
Like they were going to break down some movie barrier that had never been broken before with having two actors who've been phoning it in for 10 years already. Oh, De Niro's on and off, but
sometimes De Niro will turn it on, then he'll just be like, I need to go get some money. So
then he realizes he's co-starring with Edward Burns in a movie and he turns it off. Or he's in another cop movie with Pacino. He turns it off.
Yeah.
Well, he knows the good material when he sees it. I mean, why should he? Would you bust your ass for some... It's bullshit. Not Glenn Ross.
Yeah.
Every time.
No, of course not. So... Yeah.
By the way, though, speaking of I was just watching that the other day. Man, Jack Lemmon might have been the best actor ever.
Jack Lemmon, huh?
I mean, my God. In that movie.
Yeah.
Maybe that performance could be one of the best ever. I don't know if Jack Lemmon, but that performance.
Yeah. It's good. That's good. Man, I'm trying to think of movies that I've seen recently.
But yeah, that was Dr. Moreau. I mean, that was a fun movie.
It's definitely a fun watch. It's fucking crazy.
I don't know if I want to see this. I saw bits of the 70s one before, but I think it's really just kind of came out because Planet of the Apes existed, and they needed another fucking movie that was kind of like
it is a little bit like that. I can see the comparisons, but
I don't think it was especially good from what I saw of it. It was just kind of like, huh. It wasn't. So,
any other movies you've seen lately that weren't like garbage? Like just to watch a garbage movie.
I watched a couple bad movies. I watched Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, I've never seen that one, and I'm a huge...
He's so bad.
I'm a huge Kubrick fan, and I don't know if I want to see that.
Like a couple things to mention about that movie.
That's fair. Get into it, man.
Because
that movie was at the height of my celebrity crush on Nicole Kidman, so I feel like I probably should watch it just to reminisce.
Sure. Well, Kubrick, that was his swan song.
Yeah.
And... this movie is, first of all, I would like to identify it. I don't know if this is this is something I'm stumbling onto now, thinking about, which is these like movies that are clearly adult in tone and everything, but juvenile in their subject matter.
Okay. And
this is like a fake intellectual movie.
Okay.
If you watch Eyes Wide Shut, it's a movie that acts like it is on a more intelligent level than it really is.
Okay.
And it's just kind of like a movie that is purely just like the subject matter is not far off from American Pie. It is just Tom Cruise wants to fuck everything. That is the point of this movie. Nicole Kidman is interesting because she's like thinking about cheating on him. And she knows her husband cheats on him or on her and lies to her. But she disappears from the movie, like, after an hour. And then it's all about Tom Cruise and the secret sex cult.
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense because like he hears about the sex cult from a piano player, and he's like a high-end doctor in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's what I'm thinking. Because he gets in, and then they're like, "You don't know the password. He's not one of us." And then they're
the ones that wear the crazy masks, right?
Yeah. And they like have some bullshit where they're chanting, and it's just like, this is a bunch of bullshit. Like,
let's get to the sex. We're done with the chanting.
There's some banging, but it's not like full on orgy. It's just kind of like a banging here and there to the right and to the. But I'm wondering, like, well, why does a piano player have access to this?
Well, you get lucky.
A doctor with high standing,
mm-hmm.
who is actually useful to you. If it, I don't know. Anyway, he starts to like try to figure out the mystery, and then they're like, "No, don't dig deeper." And then like finds out this.
Was this the firm?
Yeah, it turns into like, then it's like, "Oh, that girl I talked to is dead. Like, did you kill her?" And they're like, "No, maybe." And then, but that's never proven.
Yeah.
And then they had one other really weird tangent the movie went on because it just spirals into some tangents. But one of the last tangents they had was what was it? It was something with. Oh, then he goes back, and he's afraid of the cult now, and he tells his wife everything, and she's like so impressed that he finally told her the truth one time, and he's like, "So what should we do now?" And she's like, "We need to fuck." And then the movie ends. And it's just awful. It's just a bad movie.
Yeah, I've heard mixed. I've heard people that think it's amazing and people that think it's crazy.
Amazing.
I'm saying I think I've heard that.
Oh my god!
Do you know what movie I saw recently that was amazing?
It also had a great scene with the two of them smoking weed, and then both having the worst like smoking weed scene I've seen in a movie. I think like stairs, and it's like super like intense.
Yeah.
Which I guess could be a reaction. And Nicole Kidman is just overacting the hell out of that scene where she's just like, ha, 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 and she's just like, and she's making this whole dramatic scene with the weed, and it's just like, this is weird, guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, maybe they should have watched a little bit more of that 70s show before they did
get the weed down.
It was a bit over the top. It was a bit much. Maybe they had that strong Manhattan strain I don't know about, but...
Manhattan Kush. But I watched a movie.
What'd you watch?
Have you seen the movie Broadcast News?
Oh, right. You were talking...
Somebody.
It's Albert Brooks.
Well, he's in it, yeah. I'm trying to think who the director is, though. It's not an Albert Brooks, directed movie.
Thank God.
I love Albert Brooks' movies.
He makes movies?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They're like 5.
Oh.
Like 4 good.
Oh, okay.
He's actually got like 8.
I didn't know.
He's actually got like 8, but once you get past Defending Your Life, like 1991, don't continue.
That's probably why I didn't know he makes movies, because you get past 1991. And
have you ever seen the movie Defending Your Life?
No.
So he dies and goes to what happens after, and you should watch this because I know you're a huge fan of Rip Torn, and he is fucking awesome in this movie.
All right.
But it's like he dies and goes to like, I guess not heaven, but like purgatory, where they like decide. So it's like you have to defend your life in like a court case, and like why do you deserve to move on? And like his like lawyer is Rip Torn. It's really good, actually.
I'd watch that.
It's really good, and Meryl Streep is in it as well, and she's like the romantic interest because they kind of meet, and it's just really funny. Like he plays the world's biggest wiener, and she's like this amazing like lady who saved her children from like a fire, and like obviously she's gonna go forward, and he's like just Albert Brooks, like this nebbish guy who like fell off of a snowmobile once, like nothing happened to him. Sorry, but we were talking about Broadcast News. I like this movie so much that I actually had to look up the script, and I read the script as well, because it's just one of the best written movies I've ever seen. It's just so good.
William Hurt.
William Hurt, yes. Holly Hunter is the main character in Albert Brooks.
Yeah, I'll watch it at some point.
It's really good. Why can I not find who directed and wrote this? Because James L. Brooks. I kept wanting to think.
Okay.
It's not Albert Brooks. It's James L. Brooks. Yeah, who wrote and directed this? Terms of Endearment.
Movie that we were talking about does not have Albert Brooks in it.
What movie?
The one with the afterlife.
No, that is Albert Brooks.
Written by James L. Brooks?
No, written by Albert Brooks. See, this is what's confusing. This is why I was confused. So Albert Brooks wrote and directed, I forget the name of the first movie, but then he did Modern Romance, Lost in America, Defending Your Life, and those 4 movies are good. Those are great. And he's a writer-director, funny, guy. I love him. I had just discovered him last year, basically. Watched all of his movies.
Okay.
But Broadcast News is, James L. Brooks. And The Simpsons, co-creator with Matt Groening.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've seen
he's producer. The film company, the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun after The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Gracie, that's the company that made this movie. So that was his film company. And... it's just about Holly Hunter, who is a news producer, and she's kind of best friends with Albert Brooks. And there's a little romantic tension there, but not really. Mm-hmm. And Will Hurt plays this idiot, not idiot, but a guy who just really isn't into news, but he just is a newscaster.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a really good anchor man. Jack Nicholson's in it as well.
Really?
As the anchor man. Whereas they're all reporters doing reports and stuff, and he's the main anchor in New York and stuff, and so it's really funny. They're oh, Jack liked that one, or whatever, and they're oh shit, I got on his good side, and it's just kind of about her having to decide kind of between the two guys.
Okay.
Whereas one's funny and smart and really drives hard to do that, and the other guy's handsome, but also kind of pushes her. She's obviously attracted to him, but he's trying to get better at being a newscaster and learn more, and she's not necessarily interested in she literally says, I'm not going to teach you how to do your job for you. You need to. It's just really the movie has some of the best lines in it. I could quote it all day long. They're just I don't know what it is about the way James L. Brooks writes, but I'd never really seen a movie that he had written before, but it really just kind of spoke to me. Because, there's lines that are just let's go to the place where we saw the thing. And it's just the lines that are the way that people talk and the way that things are, and just the other one's I'd like to be alone now. And the guy, this is after somebody got fired. He's I want to be alone now. He's can you company? Yeah, sure. It's just the way that it's written is just just snappy comedy dialogue. You're just this is just good, and it's really heartfelt, and Holly Hunter is awesome. I should mention, I think every single actor in this was nominated for an Academy Award, as was a lot of the movie. I think it had 8 or 9 nominations, and I was how do I not see this? This is right up my alley. It's really smartly written comedy, kind of skewers.
You don't get much of that these days, do you? Smartly written comedy.
No, it's rare, actually, when you think about it, because, I could go on a rant about this now, because, comedy movies now are okay, we got a lot of funny improv actors, let them do their thing on screen. It's not
Yeah, there's not a lot of room nowadays for the comedic actor like an Albert Brooks.
Or there's not enough room for, the comedic actor, writer, director, Albert Brooks.
You know that's a lot of hats.
But Louis and his TV show was a great example of this being, someone who can write a really funny script that feels good and act it, and that's something you don't see now with the way that improv is being done with a lot of movie scripts and stuff, whereas let's just get these really funny comedians together and they can put together a fun movie, but it just doesn't have that
which there's always been that,
and that's always, and that's not a bad thing, but they can be really amazing, but there's something to be said for a really smartly written, snappy, well executed script.
It's not a sex comedy either.
Exactly.
There can be relationships and sex in it, but it doesn't have to be Trainwreck. It doesn't have to be a Seth Rogen movie.
There's just like so much good in this movie, and like it is like because William Hurt's trying to help Albert Brooks because he also wants to become like a news anchor man, and so like he gives him tips on how to do that, and like Brooks is giving tips on how to actually report stuff, you know. And then there's a scene where Albert Brooks has to like he gets to take over the weekend shift as like a favor because someone's out sick, and he has to go on camera, and like it's a tough experience, you know. And like William Hurt's trying to help him. It's just really like, oh man, that movie, like it blew me away. Like I was like, this is in my top like 20 movies. Like I was so taken with it.
He's like my favorite newsman in a movie.
Yeah,
the guy from Die Hard.
What?
You remember him?
Which one? No.
The pouting, like, angry news anchor guy who, like, forces them to go down to Nakatomi Plaza and start covering the... There's a great part where...
Are you saying he's like the J. Jonah Jameson of crime?
Yeah.
He doesn't want... I need Spider-Man pictures. He's like, no, I need Nakatomi Plaza covered.
Well,
Damn it.
He wants to be on the news and doing that story, and... It's not a story yet because of the weird circumstances of the hostage takeover. Like, it's not out yet if it's a takeover or what's going on. There's, like, shots fired, but no one knows. And police are keeping it quiet because that's what they always want to do.
Yeah.
And he's, like, getting information where he's like, we got to go down there and shoot it now. I need to be on the scene.
Yeah.
And they, like, call in this... he's talking on the air, and they start getting information about, like, the coverage, and they have a doctor on, and he's like, well, that's talking about Helsinki syndrome right there, as in Helsinki, Sweden. And like just cuts to the hanker, and he just like starts staring at his producer, and he like won't even look at the guy he's on camera with because he's so pissed off. And it's just great. And then he goes down there, and he's like the jerk of the whole movie, where he's basically trying to exploit coverage of the hostage crisis, like at every angle, where he's like going and interviewing John McClane's kids at their house. He's interviewing and he's like making their situation worse because then Hans Gruber knows he has kids at this house, and it's just kind of a funny but he plays like the jerk in every movie. And I just thought his like portrayal in that movie as the news guy, I was like, man, that guy's a great actor. I always love. He's like the guy who you're begging to get punched in the face in every scene. Like, you know, he's the guy who shuts him down in Ghostbusters.
Yeah. That guy.
Pretty sure.
Wait, that's the actor?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's awesome.
See what I mean?
Now I know who you're talking about. God, who is that guy? He's just a character actor.
Yeah.
He's great. Always plays the asshole.
I've still seen him in things, you know.
Yeah, but you had mentioned to watch the movie Network.
Oh yeah,
which
that's
I'd
one
already
of my
seen.
favorite movies.
That's good too.
Fucking
Holy cow!
Love that movie.
Not as much of a comedy as much as where broadcast news is like the drama.
William Holden is one of my favorite actors ever.
That's a great.
It's like a last great role.
Show.
Really,
and then that's Faye Dunaway, right? That's the main person.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
The actress that's in that. That's a really good one. That's kind of like about very prescient. I feel now. With the idea of turning news into like a sensational program to like, you know, we don't need to report the news. We can make the news, you know, and like sell it to people and stuff. And just, you know, what is it? I'm all fed up and I'm not going to take it anymore. God, that movie's awesome.
I love that.
That fucking movie's great.
That guy.
Yeah. That guy like he was like, didn't he like die on stage or something? Like playing that? Like,
yeah,
no,
he
like
dies.
maybe that. I remember he just
I can't
like
remember if he gets killed or what happens.
I don't know. I just remember there's a point where he just like is like Alex Jonesing, like just like fucking
goes
like
totally
just,
loose.
Yeah, exactly.
Like loose cannon.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like insane. That's a great movie.
I feel like every movie about news in some way has something like to do with network.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Since that.
Oh yeah.
You can't like even the shows like the newsroom. I feel like knew quite a bit about network and
Inescapable. I love that. I love that show.
And it's a movie that doesn't, because it's not a genre movie. It's not referenced enough because like. You know how, like, gangster movies get brought up all the goddamn time?
Yeah, they're easy, because, you know, they're You get good guys, bad guys.
Network's better than the Godfather movies.
I don't know about that. But
I think it's easily better than but it's more interesting to me. Maybe
Fair
that's
enough.
just for me, but I feel like it should be on that same. The only reason I say it's better is because I feel like it should be hailed as better. Not better. It should be on the same level as those movies. That's all I'm trying to say.
But you hear a lot of people say, I think that's one of those movies where people will be like, actually, if you've never seen Network, it's a crime that you haven't seen it because it's like a great movie.
That's true, I guess.
Like, I think that's one of those movies that's just like, it kind of doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a great drama that stands on its own. And like, it doesn't have like, legions of fans, you know what I mean? It wasn't romanticized like a Casablanca or something was, like this is just a really great movie, well told, with excellent acting. And I think it was nominated for Academy Awards and stuff too, but I don't think it was one of those that like people remember.
And it wasn't.
You need to see it though. Like I'm telling people, watch this movie. It's amazing.
And it was an intelligent movie, and that's why I kind of made fun of Eyes Wide Shut, because it's really not about anything else other than like banging, and it was just a bunch of people in nice looking clothes banging. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a sophisticated movie. Yeah. There was almost not even any sophistication in it. I've seen Woody Allen movies about sex that were much more sophisticated, interesting.
Vicky the sex Barcelona, that he's interested in is quite juvenile.
That's the one thing about some of these directors with the checkered past, because they have the power of directing, they can't leave it alone. I've seen a number of Polanski movies where I'm just like, your fucking perversions will never... He keeps trying to make excuses. It's just like, Roman, don't bring rape into your movies anymore. You... have a history here. Yeah. Woody Allen, stop trying to convince me like sex with like younger people is normal. Like, how many movies? I just watched one with Joaquin Phoenix and a college student played by Emma Stone. Yeah. It's like, Woody, we going down this road again. Yeah. With a far younger, half his age woman. How many times?
I think it bears to be said. Woody Allen, the director, the actor, the writer.
By the way, a far more acceptable scenario in his movie than what happened in his life.
Yes.
Like to mention.
Well, this is what I'm saying, is that, like, taking away all the, like, amazing work he's done in films and stuff, he married his adopted daughter. That's a thing that happened. When you say it out loud like that, how can that be okay? But it's what happened.
Well, and I would bring up, and I think this is, what hurts him the most, though, out of all of this, isn't that he did that. It's that he is a New York, like, intellectual. And I'm going to draw a comparison to some of the people in rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like original Jerry Lee Lewis,
Elvis
Presley.
Married his 14-year-old cousin. Yeah.
Not like first cousin.
No, but like not unrelated.
Too far away either.
Like
second or third, right?
And she was 14.
Elvis married someone who is underage, I think. Yeah. Priscilla was 16.
God.
Maybe
Jesus.
Maybe younger. And the one I heard that someone told me this, but he'd read the books about Led Zeppelin and stuff. That apparently, and I use the phrase apparently, I don't know. This is from a book somewhere. I gotta look this up, but there are stories out there that Jimmy Page used to have a very young woman driven to his city where he was going to play a show at, and then they would like meet in this like special hotel room, and then some other group would get into the car, and then they'd go to and she was like 14. So it's just like, I feel like if you're in the business of rock and roll, you fucking can get away with this type of shit.
Yeah.
But when you are like a film director, you can't as much. If they were movie stars, I actually think you could get away with it.
Well, the thing is,
it's like so weird though.
Yeah, the thing is like a director is that you have to you have to collaborate with a lot of talent as the director. You're kind of in charge of everything. So if you're someone who's done stuff like that and people won't work with you because of that, you're kind of screwed. When you're an actor, if someone won't work with you, whatever, you just don't be on set with them. You know, like that's fine.
But I feel like people expect actors to be fucking like rock stars.
Yeah.
Where they have the crazy stories and they stepped outside and did shit that's wrong or did. Yeah. But if a director does it, it's like you really get some fire.
I think people just expect more, you know, of a
director.
Because
these the people we mentioned in music business, don't fucking touch them.
No.
Nobody. Ted Nugent had that girl he called Little Miss Dangerous.
Ted Nugent's got a lot of problems.
By the way, nobody's more exhausting to listen to than that guy.
Oh, yeah.
His interviews sound like they should be great because of the energy, but he's like, it's like, okay, I get it. Shut up. You're like, how pumped can you be about being Ted Nugent? Like,
we get it.
He won't stop about like how awesome he is. And it's just like, okay, I don't care about. I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we got to wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, because we're at a good time right now. So.
Okay.
Well, do you have any parting words before we finish it off?
Was there any final? Anything we left out? We talked about.
Oh, Dr. Moreau, creepy. That little man that was his like Dr. Moreau's like little mini me person.
That's great.
Is going to haunt my dreams. That
I don't even want to describe his makeup.
Well,
it was awful.
He's very pinkish red, in a very unnatural color, and then there's one point where he's naked. And you see like a tail and hunch that is just inhuman.
The way you're describing it.
Oh. Anyway. So now that that's in your mind, thanks for listening. You can find Lance on Twitter, right? You tweet?
Yep. Still doing that.
Just Real Lance Man?
Yep.
On Twitter?
You can just go to John's and then you can find me on his.
Yeah, that's easy. He's got the Judge Dredd logo.
Well, it's like when it was larger, it's like pixelated though.
Oh, is it?
It looks like if Judge Dredd was an 8-bit video game, which is what I liked about it.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to open up your actual
profile. Talk about making a movie of that.
What?
Judge Dredd.
Another one?
No, or no, a show with like
TV
Carl
show?
Urban.
Well, I'd like that.
But they haven't signed him yet.
That movie was good.
I don't actually look forward to it because I refuse to look forward to properties being talked about. But hey, if that sort of thing came out and was good, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know, that part of me is dead. That like part of dude, they're gonna make a movie of Dune or something. They're making a new Crow movie. Or they're making what's the Dark Tower came out, didn't watch it. Probably never watched that movie.
Yeah.
And believe me, I've read the books like I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to watch stuff out of obligation.
Yeah.
I just don't anymore.
I'm on Twitter too, John_Danger, as always, or you can go to the website borninthE80s.net, where you can listen to this episode and many other great ones. Tell your friends. Thanks for listening.